Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. Today is fun video day. We're going to be talking about signs you might be in a cult. You might be in a cult if you can't ask questions about what you believe. You might be in a cult if you just have to listen and you can't ever talk. Signs you might be in a cult. If free thinking is dangerous. Signs you may be in a cult if you can't leave the group without major psychological or social consequences. You might be in a cult if you're told what to think. You might be in a cult if you can't interact with people outside your group. And if you do interact with those people, it should be kept to a minimum. And if you are communicating with people outside the group, it's to get them part of your group. You might be in a cult if everybody except your group is going to hell. You might be in a cult if you have some secret knowledge that nobody else in the world has. You might be in a cult if you believe in angels and devils. You might be in a cult if you can't watch a G movie without there being a hidden agenda. And by no means are you going to be watching any R-rated movies. You might be in a cult if you're promised utopia by staying in the group. You might be in a cult if you're being molested by your leader who's doing it in the name of God. You might be in a cult if you feel ashamed to tell people what group you're part of. You might be in a cult if whoever doesn't accept your message is blinded by Satan. You might be in a cult if you're God's chosen people. That hits a little close to home, doesn't it? You might be in a cult if you and everybody in your group are the worst dressed people in town. You might be in a cult if you never get to do anything that's cool. You might be in a cult if real life is too much for you to handle. You might be in a cult if it's your job to save the world. Now, some of these obviously hit a little too close to home, don't they? That's because you're in what I call cult light. You're not in full-blown cult. You ain't that ignorant. You in that little bitty cult. We know what we're talking about. Just because it's accepted in normal society doesn't mean it's not a cult. Some of these things hit a little too close to home. That's because you might be in cult light. Here's an interesting quote I read the other day and I thought was really telling. Science is questions that may never be answered. Religion is answers that can never be questioned. Notice how you can't ever question religion? You can't ever really question it. My brother questioned the nuns when he was a kid. Oh, they didn't like that at all. He was the devil for asking those kind of questions. Free thinking was not acceptable in Catholicism. That's what's the problem when you have smart people under you. They're going to start asking some questions and they ain't going to be satisfied with no answer. As always, in the upper right hand corner, you'll see the links to my 3 blogs. You can go check those out. Again, don't take it personally. It's meant to be funny. However, it does hit a little close to home, doesn't it? Again, it's a fun video day. Don't take it too personally. Later, folks. Now go screw somebody up in the name of God.